Welcome to Tactical Reviews, and in this video we're looking at two best-selling folding knives from Civivi, the Sentinel Strike and the Vision FG, both of these in Damascus. So first up we'll look at the Sentinel Strike. Both of the knives have exactly the same packaging, so we'll only take a quick look at that once. So inside you have a nice zip-up case. And inside the case, several bits and pieces, and a cleaning cloth, which is a nice touch. Paring this down to the essential now, and here we have the Sentinel Strike. This is one of several different versions. This is a green aluminium handle, a black FRN spacer and a Damascus blade. Let's come in and have a much closer look. The Sentinel Strike is a button lock flipper folder, which also allows for manual opening as it has a thumb stud as well. And as I mentioned previously, this is the version with a Damascus blade. It's a genuine Damascus blade, before anyone questions that. Civivi have their own supply of a special stainless Damascus, and that's what's used, different patterns, but in both of the knives in this video. So being a button lock, that's our action. So let's come in really close. So making sure we can still see the overall knife, but here much closer. So the pivot has the Civivi C on it. The pocket clip with glass breaker, and that can be undone and reversed. So an FRN spacer, anodized green handles, taking a look at the action of the button lock here. You can see the locking surface. Thumb stud opening and flipper tab opening. Extremely practical blade shape. And there we have close-up of the Civivi Sentinel Strike. The second knife in this review is the Vision FG. Again, pared down to the essentials. This is a manual opener, so there's no flipper tab, requires the thumb stud. It has black micarta handles and uses a recoil lock. Let's have a much closer look at this. So now we come in much closer. So black micarta handles. You can see there's a steel liner as well, a pocket clip which can be moved to the other side, so the ambidextrous pocket clip, thumb studs for the manual open, and then here we have the recoil lock. If we look at the action on this, pull back to release, which is quite nice as a design, because while using it you press the lock into place and your hand needs to be away from it to allow it to be released. So again, we have the Civivi logo on the pivot. And of course this version has the Damascus blade. As I mentioned before, these are genuine Damascus, stainless Damascus, commissioned by Civivi for their knives. Let's have a look at them side by side. Both of these knives are actually top sellers for Civivi, and you can start to see why. They each have a Warncliffe style blade. Here we've got the Damascus versions with very different patterns, and you also can see in terms of size here how they match up to each other. Quite a different experience with a flipper button lock and a manual recoil lock, so we'll operate those just to get that sense of how these compare. So clearly nicely controlled manual, easy to operate recoil lock. Some I have come across where this is a little bit too small and difficult to operate, but very comfortable on the Vision FG. Sentinel Strike, flip, very easy. I'm not even really trying there. And of course, being a button lock, it's quite easy one-handed closing as well as the one-handed opening, and then also simple open on the thumb stud. So the button lock making a different experience. We'll just do a little bit more handling there, and of course with the flipper and button lock for easy closing. Actually the recoil lock here, because it's easy to grip, well, that's also very simple for one-handed closing. So just a little bit more on that operation, the one-handed operation for both of these, where the button lock allows very quick and easy opening and closing. The manual is also very easy. I'm not one of those that flicks these open, but you can see here how on releasing the lock the blade is closing extremely smoothly and easily. So both of those have excellent handling. In terms of in the hand, and let's just zoom out while I'm saying that. So I've taken XL size gloves, and you can see good size strike, which the handle is showing both sides of my hand, and with the Vision slightly more compact. but very, very useful blade. And now we'll move on to the detailed technical testing. In this section we're going to be doing the detailed technical measurements for these two Civivi folders, the Vision FG and the Sentinel Strike in their particular editions. And what I'll do is just do one immediately after the other for each of those measurements. And one of the things I tend to do is, if there's a sheath or a pouch or something like that, I'll include it. I wouldn't normally say that something like this is going to be used for day-to-day carry, but let's just pretend it is, because Civivi provide you with this nice case. So I would assume you're going to carry the knife on its own. But if we start off with the Sentinel Strike, so the weight with the pouch is 140.7 grams, and if I just swap those over, then with the Vision FG it's 163.1. So if we now weigh the Sentinel Strike, that's 97.2 grams, and the Vision FG is 119.4 grams. So the folded length of the Sentinel Strike, including the glass breaker, is 12.6 centimeters. Vision FG is 11.3 centimeters. Maximum width. So I need to include the flipper tab for the Sentinel. So that gives us 37.7 millimeters. And for the Vision FG, that's 35 millimeters. Let's take the dimensions of the case. So 15 centimeters by 6.5 by 30 millimeters. So overall length for the Sentinel, that is 21.8 centimeters, and for the Vision FG is 20.2 centimeters. Blade length on the Sentinel Strike, and 93 millimeters. The Vision FG is 90 millimeters. Handle thickness, I won't include the clip because you can remove it, so we'll find the widest point. It's actually where the button is, so 13.4 millimeters. Again, ignoring the pocket clip here. And we have 12.4 millimeters for the Vision. So handle depth, with such a shaping on the handle, this is really more aimed towards how the grip feels, so not any sort of finger protection. So I'm going to take it at the point where there's a just before the finger groove, so that's 24.6 millimeters, And for the Vision FG, because we've got the lock, we've got 26.5 millimeters. So now we'll take a look at how the balance is. So for the Sentinel Strike, 12.2 centimeters from the tip. And the Vision FG, interestingly, is 12.2 millimeters from the tip. Blade thickness, it's 2.7 millimeters for the Sentinel Strike. And 2.8 millimeters for the Vision FG. And so blade grind, they're going to be flat, I'm sure. So that's a flat grind. And unsurprisingly, that's also a flat grind. So what I'm looking for here are how I can measure the length of the grind. Obviously with the Sentinel Strike we've got a large cutout here, and what I'm also looking for is the point where that primary grind ends and it goes onto the blade flat. So this will be a little bit of a guesstimate across here. On the Vision FG, with the etching for the Damascus, it's slightly masking the lines, but I can just about make that out. So starting with the widest point for the Sentinel Strike, take the grind length as being 21.5 millimeters, and at that same point 32.1 for the blade depth. Vision FG, that's 21.8 millimeters, where the blade is 28.1 millimeters. Okay, so now we're going to measure those primary bevel angles. Sentinel Strike first. It's a nice fine blade, so I expect this to be quite a nice fine angle. Okay, so that is 6 degrees and 40 minutes. 6 degrees 40 minutes for the Sentinel Strike. will the vision be more or less? And the vision FG is £6 and 40 minutes. So that's exactly the same. And now we're going to take a look at the factory edge bevel angles using the laser edge bevel protractor. Unfortunately you won't see this, I don't think. Oh, might be able to. So we have the right hand edge bevel is 24.5 degrees and the left hand edge bevel is 24.5 degrees, so very nicely even. And the vision FG the right hand edge bevel is 20 degrees and exactly the same 20 degrees for the left. Point angle. Sentinel Strike point angle is 43 degrees. And vision FG so the vision FG is 61 degrees for the point angle. So thickness behind the edge. So for the Sentinel Strike, it's 0.56 millimeters. And for the vision FG, it was 0.5 millimeters. Just take a look at rake. I think there's a slight rake, just a little. So I would say for the Sentinel Strike we've got 3 degrees rake. Vision FG I will say is a 0 degree, so straight. And now let's see how sharp the factory edges are. So we'll do all 3 for the Sentinel Strike. Center. £200. Heel. £220. And a tip. £233. So now for the Vision FG. Center. 173 grams. The heel. 189 grams. And then finally onto the tip. £174. Well, thank you for joining me at this look at the Civivi folders. And remember, get informed, be prepared, stay sharp.